and welcome to today's webinar on automated systems for compliance and competitive advantage, hosted by Icicle Technologies. My name is Romina. I'm the Marketing and PR Manager here, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. So thank you so much for joining us. A few housekeeping notes. We are recording today's session, so you can refer to it in the future or share with those who couldn't join us today. We'll also have question and answers at the end of this session. So until then, you can use the Zoom Q&A options or the raise your hand option at the end of the session, so we can go through them one by one. It's my pleasure to introduce Paul Tolnai, one of our most experienced Icicle experts and business development manager here at Icicle. He's passionate about amplifying success for local food business, just like I am. So I'll pass it over to you, Paul, to share more knowledge.
Thanks, Romina, and thanks everyone for joining in. My name is Paul Tolnai, as Romina was saying. I'm happy to give this little session on automation of the export systems and how a system like Icicle might benefit your businesses going forward. Of course, it will give general information as well, so it's not just a sales pitch for you. So hopefully you can take some of the information and use it in the future. A little bit about myself, my background, just a quick CV. I actually, out of high school, I took broadcasting for film and television at the British Columbia Institute of Technology, and I got into the radio business and went into News 1130 as their audio engineer, and then as a reporter and as a news producer and a whole bunch of different things. And so I'm familiar with broadcasting to a bunch of people. However, I will admit and beg your forgiveness that this is my first ever webinar that I've hosted. So if I screw up, I beg your a little bit of your indulgence as we go forward. But Ramina's here to keep me on track. So after in about 2001, unfortunately, my father got very ill, and someone needed to come and run the family business with my mom, and something that I knew from the date that I was born. So I was a natural selection of the kids in the family, and we made a frozen unbaked sausage rolls and other bakery type items. We had just upgraded to being a federally inspected meat manufacturing facility. So I'm very well associated with the meat industry. I became the SQF practitioner for the business. And of course, I was very familiar with washing bottles, as a small business owner would know. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of a poll question just to see where we're all at, and see where your company might be at with a request or with interest to exports. So the option, I'll get Romina to put up the poll question and give you just a few seconds to reply as I read out the options here. You might not have any preparations for export. You might have some requirements. You might have all the requirements, but maybe think you're ready. You could use some improvement, and some of you might even think that you're ready to go. And maybe we can show you how Icicle might help you going forward. We'll just give a few more seconds for everyone to finish answering that. I think that there's about 3 more people that have not answered. Don't worry, all of your responses are anonymous here. So, all right. So it looks like there's some room for improvement. One person saying that, 25% saying not yet here to learn more. Half of you are saying about some requirements, and one person's ready to go. I'm interested to hear more later about where you're at with being ready to go on that, if you're already doing it. So just getting into a little bit of what you need for the 3 people that would like to make their systems better. When you're ready to export, when you think you're ready to export, when you are looking at wanting to export, you need to develop a plan. And it's a 4-point plan. You need to know your market, you need to know your food, you need to have this plan, and then you need to amplify the success that you've worked on. Knowing your market. So when you're about to take a food product outside of Canada, or any type of product out of Canada, you're going to need to know the requirements of the importing country. For example, labeling requirements. This is a huge one. I actually remember when we were running the federal facility here, there was a shipment of pork that was destined for Japan. However, it was actually supposed to be destined for South Korea. Unfortunately, that pork came from Winnipeg on a massive trailer, which was packed from the floor to the ceiling, no pallets underneath it, with boxes and boxes of frozen pork. And they were sadly labeled incorrectly for import. So the company had two options: either ship it back to Winnipeg or find a local federally inspected facility that had the capacity to do about 2 days worth of work. This was about a $15,000 cost just in what they had to pay us, not to mention the cost of the additional rental of the trailer and the delay of the actual shipment. So it's really important that you know the labeling requirements. You'll also want to make sure if your product is eligible for export to the market you want, and what regulatory steps you need to take. Do you need a CFI inspection? Do you need import certificates and things like that? Then you want to know your food. And this is something that if you're going to be exporting from Canada, you really want to take a very close look at where your food is coming from. Make sure that it's coming from a reputable source that's currently licensed in Canada. Does it meet requirements for both Canada and the importing country? So, if you're shipping down to the US, you'll probably need to do it in imperial measurements, whereas in Canada, you'll be in metric, or most of the rest of the world. Every country has a little bit of a different idea on what nutrition facts tables look like. So you'll probably want to make sure that you've got the right nutrition facts table. And then, of course, every country also has a little bit of a different method of calculating which ingredients should go in which order on your label. So you'll want to make sure that those ducks are all in a row. And then traceability and verification. You really want to make sure that you can account for every single gram of product that comes into and out of your facility and where it's en route to. And this is where an automated program like Icicle is invaluable to your company. So have a plan. What about your documentation? Documentation's key to actually getting your product to market outside of Canada. Is your documentation easy to access? Can you do it from anywhere? How much would it cost you to have a shipment held up if one document was wrong? Take all those things into consideration and realize it's best to have all your documents in one place where you can easily access them from anywhere in the world, because having one trailer of $200,000 worth of product held up for a day or two might make or break some companies. What type of controls do you have in place to monitor your food? Can you prove that your food was kept safe from the time it left your facility until the time it arrived at the FOB point? And do you have a complaints and recalls system in place? Finally, when you do develop your plan and implement it, most small business owners, medium-sized business owners forget to do something. When they put the plan in place, they forget to step back for a moment and think, okay, let me judge what we're doing compared to my original plan. Are we still on track? Are we still doing what I originally wanted to do? Do we need to tweak the original plan, or do we need to get back on track? So those are very important things. So as we move on, I wanted to do a second poll question, and this is to test just how well you guys are associated with global standards. And if you've heard of GFSI certification, so answer yes, you're certified, no, not yet, or what is GFSI? Don't feel embarrassed to answer that. Just give a few seconds. Oh, fantastic. There we go. I think we've got everyone answered. Fantastic. So it looks like about half of you are GFSI certified. So I will go as quickly as possible through the next section, but we do have one person that was wondering what GFSI is, and then two people that know what it is, but might need some more information on it. So Global Food Safety Initiative, I will go into more detail about how it came about, but basically it's a system that that everyone talks to each other under the same language globally. And it starts in what's called HACCP. If you haven't heard of HACCP yet, it stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. And basically, I like to call it the dictionary of food safety, because no matter which country you're in, they all use this dictionary to talk about food safety. It's very simple. It's based on Codex Alimentarius, and it is to identify a hazard and control it. Then you have the GFSI, which is an international organization made up of nearly 40 retail organizations whose mission is to improve food safety around the globe. The people that are part of it are Costco, Amazon, Kraft, Walmart, Loblaws, just to name a few. So GFSI is not really a safety code itself, but it's a benchmarking organization which assesses food safety codes to ensure that they meet the GFSI standards. Examples of schemes that do meet the GFSI standards are SQF, BRC, ISO 22000. Each market will kind of prefer one code over another. For example, Canada and Australia are very much SQF based, whereas Europe and South America are very BRC based. However, as long as the benchmark is met, your client should be satisfied with whichever code you choose to implement. So how does unified automation technology actually help you? It reinforces best practices for compliance. It reduces food safety documentation and administration costs. You can perform surgical recalls in minutes. It reduces waste to meet profitability and sustainability goals. And it also achieves operational excellence through a unified data-driven approach. A little history on Icicle. Our founder was in a food facility. Steve Burton is his name, and he's actually a software engineer by trade. And he was visiting a food facility, and he noticed behind him booklets and binders. And I'm sure if you work at a food facility, you know about it. All of your food traceability binders are just stacked up on a wall. And he figured there must be a way to digitize those. What he also just stumbled upon is that the food industry is immensely inefficient, as plant personnel write things on paper only to have office staff enter the data into computers for billing purposes, tracing, compliance. And not only does that cost a lot of money, but it also leaves a lag time between when product is manufactured and when the data can be used. And this presents a real problem when you have to perform a recall. I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret of my former life as running a facility. And I got a phone call that we had found something in a product that really shouldn't be in there, and we needed to perform a recall. The guidelines said that we had to have everything controlled in 4 hours. I was in the back of an Uber on my way to the airport in New York. And I did not have 4 hours because the plane would not have Wi-Fi or communications technology on it back to Vancouver. So I had about 45 minutes to get this done. So from the backseat of an Uber, I went into Icicle. I started the recall process up. I was on the phone with my staff, and we had the entire problem contained within about a half an hour. And that's all from the backseat of an Uber. If you had booklets and pamphlets and binders and records behind you, I don't think you could have done it in 30 minutes from the backseat of an Uber. So it's a good highlight of how a unified software that's multi-platform, I can get on it on my cell phone, on a tablet, on a PC, on a Mac, really would help your business. You can also reduce your you can reduce waste to meet profitability and sustainability goals. This is something that as we strive in 2022 to get even more efficient. I'm sure most food facilities know we are not the most efficient manufacturers in the world. Everything has to be absolutely perfect, so there becomes a lot of waste. If you can quantify those, if you can analyze those, and if you can actually prove that they're there and figure out why you're doing it, you'll get to the sustainability goals much easier. So I'm going to show you a little bit of Icicle in action right now. As soon as I get it up on the screen, this is what I was talking about. Here we go. So this is the main page of Icicle. I hope everyone can see that. This is the main page of Icicle, and everything you see on the screen are called widgets, and you can customize those however you'd like. But as you can see, I'm just in a Chrome browser right now, and I'm sorry that I'm looking. If you're looking at my camera and seeing I'm looking away, my second screen is over there. You have various different widgets that you can choose from. Food safety status. If you're using the software to monitor your machine uptime, you can monitor that. Different updates that you might have done to the program. And Icicle was based on the food safety, like it was written from the quality control food safety division out towards the rest of the facility. So the first thing you'll find is the ability to incorporate prerequisite programs. You have the Government of Canada's FSEP Food Safety Enhancement Program. You have ISO 22000 built into it, and also SQF Edition 9, which is available to you. And based on those codes, you then present standard operating procedures. And you can see that the standard operating procedures that I've actually got on the screen, and I'm sorry if I'm moving a little bit too fast, but the standard operating procedures that I have on the screen, you have an export SOP, for example, and that comes up. That was a live click on it. So that's how quickly Icicle can work with anywhere that you have an internet connection. This is where you just basically tell your clients, your staff, your auditors what you're going to do, how you're going to get there. And I've just put in some very, very basic details about that. And then when it comes down to actually designing a HACCP plan, this is actually, once you put in your ingredients, once you've done the hazard analysis, and once you've created your products or productions and things like that, you need to be able to prove it to an auditor that you've done all this. I've just clicked a button that's called this little button right up here that will generate my HACCP plan for me. And you'll see it'll take just a few seconds. And this is now a demo HACCP plan that's ready to be given out to auditors, including a flow chart. This unfortunately looks like this HACCP plan that I've chosen for the demo does not have any ingredients, but you get the idea that it can be instantly created. If I go back out, I probably can find one that is very quickly. Yeah, this one will be better. I hope. So there's the plan create, and whoop. So yeah, then you have your form 1. Basically, it shows everything, and your form 2. There's your ingredients, flow chart, a little bit of the form 4, which is this plant schematic, then your hazard identification forms. And this is all very much easily or automatically generated from the information that you enter into Icicle, which you need for traceability and things like that. And now, if anyone's interested in a more in-depth look at Icicle, I'm more than happy to give a one-on-one that can be a little bit more tailored to your individual needs. Please get in hold of Romina or myself after the presentation, and we're happy to. Both of us would be happy to book one of those for you. Coming up next, we'll just hear from a few of Icicle's previous clients, or current clients, I should say.
So I would definitely recommend Icicle. The fact that it's affordable to implement, easy to learn how to use, and overall, it really, really simplifies our ability to do things consistently well. For that reason, is very much worth the investment.
You'd be dumb not to do it. The software is fantastic. I've got nothing but wonderful compliments on our food safety system from these auditors, because everything's organized, all the documentation is there. It's just one click and they can see everything.
We love what it can do, and I think it brings a lot of value to our organization and gives us that assurance and better insight into what we're doing and making sure that we're doing it right.
I think for growing companies, Icicle is definitely an enabler, and I think the big benefit is, it removes the complexity. We can do recall in about a 5-minute job. Whoever designed the system understood the food industry, built with the size of our company, and I think with growth in mind. And I think that's where Icicle can be very supportive and helpful on that end.
So then that's the presentation that we've preset, and I'll open it up to any questions that you might have. I'll ask for me to come back in and.
Hey, great. So it's now time for our Q&A session. So you have the option to enter your question on the Zoom feature at the bottom of the screen here, or raise your hand, and then we can promote you as a panelist so you can ask us your questions. We can start with one here, Paul. What advice do you have for food companies getting started with automation?
if you have not gone into automation yet and you're a food manufacturer, I would probably argue that you have already. If you're using an accounting platform such as Quicken or QuickBooks, you're already automating a part of your facility. So automating the rest of your facility should be just as easy and should be as much of a no-brainer as buying accounting software.
A question here from Dickens. He said that he didn't see a BRC food issue 8 in the presets. Is that in the works?
Yes, so the prerequisite programs are uploadable by the user, or we can actually upload them for you as well. So any prerequisite plan you want, you can either be your own version of it, or you can have us upload it. I think we probably just, I think for the purpose of the demo, we haven't got permission from SQ or from BRC to put the latest version on display. But yes, it's there.
Yeah. Just looking to see another question is what grant programs are available for BC food businesses to implement these types
Ooh,
of
this is a good question. There's some amazing grant programs that will mostly pay for Icicle's costs. There's a traceability grant program and also a food safety grant. And if you haven't heard about these yet, Romina would be more than happy to give you tons of information about them. And we'd be more than happy to help you actually as Icicle sign up for them before you take the bullet of buying a safety program like Icicle, or hopefully Icicle itself.
We're very lucky. Like we're actually one of the pre-approved providers on those programs. So it's definitely been great to see some of our customers be noted as success stories for some of them as well. Like Big Mountain Foods actually appeared as a case study for the traceability grant recently. Another thing I thought to mention, if any of you are members of the BC Food and Beverage Association, they do have a webinar coming up on grant strategies. That's coming up in April, so definitely keep that on your radar because they'll be able to give you an even more detailed overview on grant programs that are available. Just doing one final check. It looks like we don't have any other questions from the audience right now. So I guess we can kind of wrap it up for the day. So
Sure.
thank you so much, Paul, for all of your insights, the war stories, and an incredible amount of information you shared with our audience today. And thank you everybody for participating. It's great to see the industry come together through these association events and educational sessions. If you're interested in a customized demo, please do reach out for more information. A recording of today's session will be available through Zoom webinars on demand, and we'll also be posting it on our website at icicletechnologies.com. Again, my name is Romina, Senior Marketing and PR Manager here at Icicle, and I hope to see you at our next Advanced Food Production webinar. Cheers, everybody. Have a good afternoon.